We're in the Bavli on. Good morning, everybody. We're in the Bavli Maseches Gittin. Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph 38a, 10 lines from the top. You have it. 10 lines from the top.
More.
Hi, David.
We're in the Bavli Maseches Gittin, Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph, 10 lines from the top. Good morning. I'm Rav Shem Bar Rabba, I'm Rabbi Yechanan.
Lamed Ches Amud Aleph.
More.
Yeah.
More.
You have it all.
2, 4, 5.
I'm Rav Shem Bar Rabba, I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Rav Shem Bar Rabba says in the name of Rabbi Yechanan,
More.
Eved sheborach mi beis hasurim yotze lecheirus.
More.
You can bite it all. An Eved that runs, that escapes from jail, yotze lecheirus, goes free. V'lo yoyed el shekoifenis rabbi bekoisev leget shichur. Not only that, we force the Rebbe and we write for him a get shichur.
Why do we do that?
Why was he in the Beit Hasurim in the first place? Doesn't that count? Like maybe he did something very wrong.
Oh.
Good question. We're talking about that a non-Jew captured him. And he was in Beis Hasurim. He ran out, he goes free, and you force his Rebbe and you write to him a get shichur. You're saying, like, let's say it's like a Western society, he did a terrible crime and he's sitting in jail, so why would that? It's a good question.
More.
Yeah, it's different from slavery in the United States, that's for sure.
More.
Okay, so now the Gemara will analyze based on what we said in our Mishnah to see if it fits with this ruling. Tanan, Reb Shimon Gamliel loimer, ben kach yishtabed. Shimon Gamliel says that no matter what, whether you freed him, we were talking about a similar case in our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, we said that he was captured by a non-Jew, and he was redeemed. So whether he was redeemed in order to be free or whether he was redeemed in order to be enslaved, he'll be enslaved again. In other words, he'll go back to his master. Okay, put in the garbage. The Omar Rabba Bar Bachanam Rabbi Yechanan, Kol Mokim Sheshona Shevliel b'Mishnaseh. Halacha k'maiseh. Wherever we were taught the opinion of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in our Mishnah Seinu in our Mishnah, the halacha is like it. Except for 3 places. I forgot to check what these 3 places are.
Does the Art Scroll say?
I don't even have Likutei Rashi in here.
I'm just checking Steinsaltz to see if they have any.
Okay, it's not directly relevant to our Gemara. Just general, and except for 3 places. So this is definitely not one of these 3 places. This is Reb Shimon Gamliel.
One of them comes up later on, stuff 74, right?
This that Reb Shimon Gamliel says Benkach Yishtabed. The halacha is like him. So how does that fit with Omer Rabba Bar Bachanam and Rabbi Yechanan? Omer Reb Shimon Bar Rabba and Rabbi Yechanan. There's a contradiction in Rabbi Yechanan. Says the Gemara like this: Bishmala Abaya Mukilo Lahai Lifnei Yush V'Hai La'achar Yush. Makes sense according to Abaya. We'll say that Shimon Gamliel was talking about in our Mishnah Lifnei Yush. right? And what was the machlekes according to Abaye? Does anybody remember?
What's your question?
Makes sense according to the way Abaye explains the Mishnah that we're talking about lifnei yiud before the original owners had given up hope of redeeming their slave or getting their slave back.
I'm in the middle of a
And we're talking about that you redeemed him l'shum eved. L'shum eved, according to the Chum, if you redeemed him l'shum eved, yishtab l'rabbi rishon, he'll go back to his first master, pay him back, whatever. L'shum ben chayrin, if you redeemed him in order to be free, he's not going to go back to anyone. Why not l'rabbi sheni? Because l'shem ben, you redeemed him l'shem ben chayrin. L'rabbi rishon, why not? Because he l'chayrin l'fnei yush. Because maybe we're worried that he's not going to be redeemed. Okay. And Rishon Gamliel disagrees. He says people will also redeem someone who's going to be enslaved. So it makes sense. Our Mishnah is talking about lifnei yush. This din of Reb Shem bar Abba and Rabbi Yechon is talking about lachar yush. After they give up hope, he'll go free. If he escapes, he'll go free. The only difference is in our Mishnah we're talking about redeeming him. Here we're talking about if he escapes. But if it's lachar yush, he'll go free. Even if you redeem him lachar yush, l'shem ben chayrin, he'll go free. But according to Rava, that he says our Mishnah is also talking about lachar yush, and the reason why, what's the reason Rabbi Shimon Gamliel argues? It's because he says Chizkiah, the Takon of Chizkiah, that we're worried that the Eved, if he sees it so easy to go free, he'll just try to enslave himself by a native or Gentile. They'll redeem him, and then he'll go free. So because of that, they made it Takon that he goes back to his original master, even lachar yush. So we have a contradiction. On the one hand, Rishon bar Abba says the name Rabbi Yechanan that if he escapes from the Beis Asurim, he goes free. On the other hand, we have what's it called? We have Rabba bar Bar Chana Rabbi Yechanan that the halacha is like Reb Shimon Gamliel. So there's a big contradiction. The answer is time of my mishum de Chizkiah. The whole reason in our Mishnah why Reb Shimon Gamliel says that even if it's lachar yush, even after they've given up hope of getting back their servant, no matter what, if you redeem him, he'll go back to be enslaved. It's because of Chizkiah that we're worried that he's going to jump and make himself enslaved. If we allow him to go free, every servant is going to try the same trick. But shiny. Someone who's escaping is different. We're not worried that people are gonna just try to escape. If he's willing to put himself in risk of losing his life, when you're escaping, you're putting yourself in the risk of losing your life. That's a whole different story. Is he gonna put himself in the hand of Gyosis of troops? Of course not. So Chizkiah doesn't apply in this case. Our Mishnah was talking about where he was redeemed, so it works out very well. As long as he's redeemed, put that back in the grass. So if he was redeemed, it's a different story. Then Chizkiah will apply, but not if he escapes. If he escapes and he's willing to risk his life, it doesn't apply. The Gemara goes on and tells us a story. I'm saying the Mar Shmuel, Ishtabai. The maidservant of Shmuel was captured by Gentiles.
What does Ishtaba mean?
Captured. Taken in
captured.
They redeemed her for the sake of her being enslaved again. To be a Kananis. Vishadru alei. And they sent her to him. They sent her to who? They sent her back to Shmuel. She was captured and they redeemed her and they sent her back to Shmuel. Sholchulei, they sent to Shmuel, and non Reb Shimon Gamliel Svidalon. We hold like Reb Shimon Gamliel that what? That what does Reb Shimon Gamliel hold? That no matter what, the servant is going to be enslaved. Even if you hold like the Chachamim, which means which would make it depend on the intent of the person who redeemed. We redeemed her in order for her to be your slave again. So therefore they said Therefore, they told Shmuel, she's your maidservant. You don't know. There's no question about it. First of all, we hold like Rishon. Even if you hold like the Chachamim, we redeemed her for the sake of her being your maidservant again. They thought it was Lifnei Yush. It was before he had given up hope. It was after he had given up hope. And therefore, Shmuel held like a Abaya, not like Rava. If he would have held like Rava, so then, if he would have held like Rava, then even Lacher Yush, there's a takana of Chizkiah where the servants are going to throw themselves b'yad Yosis. But because he held like a Abaya, as long if it was Lacher Yush, she's automatically free. It's you, Lacher Yush. The halach is not like a Abaya. The halach is like Rava, but Shmuel held like a Abaya. But not only did he not enslave her again, he didn't even make her require a get, which means a bill of a document of freedom. Why not? Shmuel's going according to his reasoning. Shmuel says, "Hamafkir avdei yotzel chedus v'nitzach get shichur." Someone who declares his eved ownerless, his eved goes free, and does not require a get shichur.
The school bus.
So this is the same thing as declaring him ownerless. Yush, when you give up hope, is the same thing as being mafkir. Shneimar, it says in the pasuk when we're talking about the dinim of truma, it says any eved ish who you buy, you give him the bris and then he's allowed to eat truma. If he's an eved kohen, if you were talking about the slave of a kohen, he's allowed to eat truma as long as he has a bris and tefillah, obviously, to go to the mikvah. So it says in the pasuk eved ish miknas kosef. So the Gemara analyzes. Shmuel will analyze. Eved ish v'le eved isha. Why do we say eved ish? Is it only if he's a servant of a man and not a woman? No, we don't say that. The halach is not like that. Saying why are we not medayik? I don't know, but it is a good deal. And maybe it's just the Messiah that they had to and how to tie trace the pasuk. And the Eved that his master's ownership on him, Kori Eved. Only then is he called an Eved. Eved ish. Only if he's an Eved ish. Only if his master has ownership of him. He's not called an Eved anymore if he no longer has Rishus over him. So therefore, if he's mafkir, if he's declares him ownerless, or if he's yush, if there's yush, if he gives up hope, he's free. So Shmuel, not only did he not enslave her, he let her go free because he held like Shmuel. He didn't hold like he held like Abaya, not like Rava, not like Chizkiah, who had that takana, that enactment. Okay. I'm saying we have another story. I'm saying the Rabbi Abba Bar Zutra Ishtabai. The maidservant of Rabbi Abba Bar Zutra became enslaved. Here, Mendel, go in. So what happens?
Not enslaved, but captured.
Yeah, you're right. Captured by a non-Jew. Again, I'm saying that Rabbi Abba Zutra Ishtabai. So there was a non-Jew from Tarmoid who redeemed her, but he redeemed her for himself, for a wife. So it's terrible. Like a Jewish woman, she was, a Shifla Kananis, and she was redeemed by a non-Jew for him to marry her. So the people of that area sent to him, I guess it was far away from him, they sent a message. If you're going to do the right thing, they were they were telling him what to do, basically. I feel like maybe they should have, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have said in such a way. Maybe they should have been a little more respectful, but they told him like this. They told him the situation that your wife servant is now redeemed by a non-Jew from Talmud for his wife, he goes after if he can do the right thing. Send her a bill of freedom. So what the Gemara analyzes, what was going on? If they could have redeemed her, so why does he need to send her a bill of freedom? Just redeem her and then send her back to Rabbi Abba Bar Zutra, and she'll be his maidservant. But the issue was that she was enslaved by a guy who wanted her for his wife. So just redeem her. If they're not able to redeem her, even if he sends her the bill of freedom, how's it going to help? It's not like the guy from Talmud is going to respect that. We're talking about that she was captured. Says the Gemara.
No, but that would not to be respect for the goy, but the respect for her, so that she wouldn't be like double a wife and also the slave of the guy, just to let her free.
How would that help her situation, though?
It would just maybe for her children. I don't know. Like it would just create the ability that she was free. I don't know.
It's interesting. So the Gemara has a different answer. The Gemara says, they had the ability, he didn't have the money, but they had all together collectively the money to redeem her. So because he would send her the bill of freedom, they would have got together and redeemed her. Basically, there's a few guys who really cared. They themselves didn't have enough money, but the collective community did. And they thought if he would free her, people would care more about it. And therefore, they would get together and redeem her. It's interesting. This is not like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. And our mission, Rav Shimon Gamliel says, people redeem a maidservant just like a free person. They obviously held like the Chachamim that people will get together much more if she would be free to redeem her. The second answer is more like what my father answered, that they didn't have the ability. Nobody had the money to redeem her. The guy wanted too much money. However, the moment he would send her, this would fit even according to Shimon Gamliel. The moment he sends her a document that she's free, so then mitzala ba'ape umaflikla. Everybody will find out that she was a maidservant. So then he's gonna let her be redeemed for a decent, normal amount of money. Like right now, it was impossible. He didn't want to redeem her, maybe, or he wanted a tremendous amount of money. But the moment everyone finds out, Rashi says, you send the Gita de Cheduso, everybody finds out she was a maidservant, and then it's embarrassing for him. Oh, his wife was a maidservant. I don't know why they couldn't just make a hue and cry and say she's a maidservant. I suppose they held that a Gita de Chedusa, the word will spread more from a real legal document of a Gita de Chedusa than just saying, oh, she's a maidservant. Or let's say you send a star, oh, she's a slave, she's a shifcha kananis. It's not going to help. It's not won't have the same effect. When you send a Gita de Chedusa, everyone finds out that she was a shifcha. Okay, interesting. And then he'll get embarrassed and he'll be willing to let her go for a decent amount of money. The Gemara goes on and says like this. Didn't Mar say that Goyim like Jewish animals more than their own wives? So for who cares if she's a maidservant? Says the Gemara, it's only in quiet. But for in other words, privately, if he knows she was a maidservant, he doesn't care. Adrabah may be more precious to him than his own wife. But in public, if everybody finds out, that's embarrassing to him. It's interesting. What does that mean? I'm not sure. Like, to what extent? What are we saying that? When we say Chaviva Land,
maybe it's saying that the women of the Goyim are not that respected by their husbands.
Right. In other words, they'd rather sleep with a Jewish animal? Probably, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe maybe. I have to check up the Gemara. Maseches Avodah Zarah Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis. Okay, I'll just look it up quickly. 1 second. So I guess it's not that quick. Let's see. Here it is. Chav Beis Amud Beis. Yeah, they're talking about bestiality, like having relations with animals. That's what the Gemara talks about in Maseches Avodah Zarah. So for sure, it's Hikvah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's go further. No, not now. The Abaya. I lost my spot. Oh, I see. There was a maidservant who was in Pumpadisa. People were sitting with her. People were sitting with her. It was hefker. As a hefker situation. If not for Rav Yehuda or Shmuel saying that anyone who frees his servant who's over basei transgresses a positive commandment because lo'ilam behem tavodu, you should always enslave them. Sorry. Have a kayafnale lemore because of the I would have forced the owner to write a get, to give him, to write her free. And Rashi says, then she'll get married to Yisrael, then he'll watch her. It's interesting. Who would want to marry a woman who has such a rumor? I don't know. I suppose, I don't know. It's a good question. Ravina Omar Kiho, such a situation where people are doing Issa with her, Rav Yehuda would be made that it's fine. Even though normally we say, I don't know why this is different. I guess maybe they understood that it's not, that then in certain situations it overrides. How could Isser override a mitzvah saseh?
You could say to tikkun olam. You could also say to remove michshalim from other people.
L'sheves, it's what we say if it's a male servant. Yeah, that he has a mitzvah to l'sheves. Yeah, but how is that enough to override a mitzvah saseh? Like, you can't just override a mitzvah saseh. It's nishla zeh poshet. I'm not sure. In other words, usually a loisaseh doesn't override an aseh overrides a loisaseh. Generally, I'm saying in the klalim, in the general rules. Maybe in this case. I don't know. Maybe they have a Messiah that there's a leniency. I'm not sure. So the Gemara asks the question: if Abai Mishum Masura Loy Abai doesn't hold that an Isser is enough to override the Leilam Bem Tavaidu, you should always enslave servants. There's a woman who is half maidservant and half free, and the way this happens is if there's partners. The way this happens is if there's partners and one of them frees his half, so she's half. The kofu was Rav, they forced the Rebbe to make her a bastardin because she wasn't fit to be with anyone, says Rashi. So what was so who cares? She doesn't have a mitzvah of puruvu. It's only the man who has a mitzvah. So why would they free? The answer is minik hefker, because she was half free, she couldn't be with an Eved Ivri. Because she was half a slave, she couldn't be with him Ben Chayrin. So therefore, people were doing whatever they wanted to do with her, and they freed her. So it's the same thing, the same exact thing. So why is this any different? Why is a Abaya hold that doesn't override Leilam Bam Tavaidu? It should override. So the Gemara says like this: Hochiyash. Let's analyze. Hosam Leila Eved Chaziv Leila Ben Chayrin Chaziv. Over there, she wasn't fit. He wasn't fit for an Eved, and he wasn't fit for a Ben Chayrin. Hocha Efsher de Mechad Lo LaAvdei Umintar Lo. Here, however, he could say to a certain Eved, for example, let's say he has an Eved Ivri or even Eved Kanani, he could say, she's yours. Even though theoretically there's no marriage by Avadim, the fact is he'll say she's yours and the Eved will watch her. That's what Abaye holds, obviously. But the other opinion of Ravina argued. Ravina said that wouldn't be enough for an Eved to watch her. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just have to take a quick break. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Sorry. We're on the next page now. We're up to Gufo. Lamed Chesam and Beis. Gufo Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Kol HaMeshachrer Avdoi Oiver Basei. Anybody who frees his Eved is Oiver Basei. Never Leilam Mem Taved. Meisve is a question. Ma'aser Rabbi Elazar Shnichlas Beis HaKnesset Lo Yimatza Asara V'Shikar Avdei V'Shlim Asara. There's a story that Rabbi Elazar went into the shul. He couldn't find the minyan, and he freed a slave, and he got the minyan. Says a Gemara, mitzvah shiny. For a mitzvah is different.
I love that
Probably.
story.
Oh, the story of the minyan?
Yeah.
They're saying he was willing to give up like a guy who would have served him for generations just to make the minyan. It shows the importance of the minyan. So I have to look that up to understand the parameters of how you can have an exception in a mitzvah say like that. Simon, it's in Yerodea. Hilchos Avadim, Simon Reish Samach Zayin. All right. Yeah, it is a beautiful story. Just shows the importance of a minyan. Like we're talking about someone who's a slave for life. That's worth a countless amount of money. Can't estimate the value of that. Forget it. For him, he probably wasn't even thinking of the money. He was thinking of La'ilam Bam Tavaidu versus Mitzvah Shiny. But he was a human being. He probably thought there's value. But nevertheless, just to be mashal the minyan, he freed a slave. I don't know. Yeah. It's considered mitzvah rabbah, a great mitzvah. Ton Rabbana La'ilam Hem Tavaidu. Rishus, Steve Rabbi Shmuel says, it says, La'ilam Hem Tavaidu, it's Rishus, because the pasuk before said that you're not allowed to let them live, the people from the Shiva Umais. So La'ilam Hem Tavaidu, even if a man from outside of Eretz Yisrael, from the Shiva Umais, married a Canaanist, their child, you're allowed to enslave the Rishus. That's where Rabbi Shmuel understands. You're allowed to. You may think you're not allowed to. Maybe you're not. Maybe even if the woman is from the Shiva Umais, you're not allowed to. Mashmalan, you are. Rabbi Kiva Omer Choiva. Rabbi Kiva says Choiva. Rabbi Kiva says it's an obligation. Lo'ilam Bam Tavaidu is a mitzvah. This was the Gemara Maseches Soita because he's derish every single word. There was an extra word. I can't recall which word it was. That there's a chiyuv. Chiyuv, Lo'ilam Tavaidu. Not that you have to enslave people. Once they're enslaved, you have to keep them enslaved. What's the logic behind that? I don't know. Sounds unfair. That once someone's enslaved, they have to be enslaved for all time. The Dilma Rabbi Elazar, Sovelo command Rishus. So now we're going back to the story of Rabbi Eliezer, that he freed a slave for the minyan. Maybe it's because he held like Rabbi Shmuel, that it's optional. It's not a mitzvah. That's why he freed him, even though he took great for that. But if it would be against a mitzvah saseh, then not. Makes sense, right? Because how could you override a mitzvah saseh? Don't say that. The Tanya Behed Rabbi Eliezer mechoiva. Says clearly, Rabbi Eliezer says choiva. Omer Rabba says like this. And people lose their money, their possessions, because of three things. The mafki avdayu l'cheriso, because they let their slaves go free. They think it's not a big deal. Rashi says, "Va'avri ba'aseh," they transgress the positive commandment. It's a tough one. With deciding nichsayu b'Shabso, they tour their property on Shabbos. They're not allowed to do that. Shouldn't do that. They look on the property to see what it needs on Shabbos. So basically, you're not going to have blessing from that. Maybe the contrary. There's a story in the Gemara Maseches Shabbos. There was somebody who was passing by a hole in his fence. He thought I have to fix it, and it was Shabbos, so he didn't fix it. And then a beautiful tree grew there that was very valuable. With the kavi sudasayu b'Shabbos abeidin be'midrashal, they would make their Shabbos meal during the time of the shiur. In those days, people wouldn't have time to learn during the week because they worked very hard. But on Shabbos, there would be a shiur. And if these people would do their Shabbos meal during the time of the shiur, they would lose all their money. There was two families in Yerushalayim. One of them made their seudah on Shabbos during the time of the drasha, and one of them on Erev Shabbos during. Rashi says it was on Erev Shabbos. It was the night of Shabbos. It's not covered Shabbos because their main meal was Leil Shabbos, and really the main meal is supposed to be on the Yom during the day of Shabbos. So because of that,
they had their main meal in the daytime, and they weren't hungry.
They had their main meal at night, and you're supposed to have the main meal during the day.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, some people say that the problem was. Sorry.
Supposed to go into Shabbat hungry, right?
Oh, some people say that the second pair of Rashi that they had their meal Erev Shabbos and they weren't hungry when Shabbos came in, so they lost all their money.
Oh, they had their okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying.
No, just that question. Same thing. You answered it.
It's okay.
So now we're getting to a whole new big sugya. Rabbi says in the name of Rav, if you're makdish your servant, he goes free. In other words, if you say my servant is hektish, my servant is sanctified for the Beis Hamikdash, he goes free. My time, what's the reason? Gufe lekodesh, his body's not kodesh. Rashi says, it's not fit for the Mizbeach, it's not fit for the Bedek Habayis. Mele like a log. You say it's not fit for the Mizbeach, so it's fit for the Bedek Habayis. His body's not fit for anything.
Can't the Gizbar just sell him and then get them into his value?
Yeah. But Ladomi Lokomer. He didn't say that it's Ladomi for the value. He should have said, Dmei Avdi Alai. The value of my servant is Amnu. But he didn't say that. It's because he didn't say that. He must be saying something else. It's a lenient approach in a sense. He must be saying the Lehevi Am Kodesh Kamer. He wants him to be from part of the Am Kodesh, the holy nation. For Rav Yosef Amar Rav, Hamafkir Avde Yotza Lecheres. Rav Yosef says in the name of Rav, somebody who declares his servant ownerless goes free.
Here, we found one. Go. Who's gonna be that fast? I already just made the challah for you guys.
Mandomer Makdish Golskin Mafkir. Opinion of Makdish, in other words, Rab Omer Rav. How much more so if you're Mafkir?
That's fine. We're gonna go swimming today, but we have to go make challah and daven.
Sorry. Mandomer Makdish Golskin Mafkir. If you say that Makdish goes free, how much more so if you're Mafkir for declare ownerless? Mandomer Mafkir will Makdish loy. But if the opinion that says Mafkir, not Makdish, Dilmul Ladomi cover, because maybe he is saying the value. So we have two approaches. When you're Makdish, your Eved, are you saying his value is on me? Or are you saying that he's just supposed to be a holy Yid? Am Kodesh. So now the question is, according to the opinion that he goes free if you're Mafkir or Makdish, do you do you have to give him a get shichur? So we already had in the story of Shmuel that Shmuel held you didn't have to. Ibaylu get shichur loy tzarach. Tzarach get shichur loy tzarach. Does he need to get shichur or not? Toshman dam Rab Chia bar Avin. Rab Chia bar Avin said in the name of Rav Echad Zev Echad Zev Yotzal Chedesh Tzarach get shichur. He needs a get shichur. He needs to have the document. Even if they go free, they still need a document. So the problem is like this. Rabba says, there's a question on our teaching. We just said that a makdish avda yotzal chedes, he goes free. It says in the Brisa, makdish nechasav ahi ben avodim, somebody who sanctifies all his property and there's slaves among them. What happens to the slaves? Any gizbaron rishon leitzil chedes, the gizbaron cannot free them. They sell them to other people. Other people can make them free. Says Rashi. Says Rashi. Okay. Can they be makabel miyad eved pidyoinoi? Can they receive from the eved the pidyoin? Theoretically, normally an eved is allowed to free himself. Not that you have to accept the pidyon, but normally an eved is allowed to free himself. If somebody gives him money on menas, shein l'rab b'reshusba, in condition that his master doesn't have any ownership over it, so he's allowed to do that. But these gizbin are not allowed because he was makdish them for their money. This is what it sounds like. He's makdish them for their money. So this is a contradiction with Rab Amarav. Rab Amarav said, "Makdish av the yotzal chedes." Here we see. No, it's ledomi. And if the gizber would accept the money from the eved or from someone else, it would be derech shichur and not mechiro. It has to be derech mechiro, basically. They're not allowed to be meshachar. They're only allowed to be meicher. They don't have the right to be meshachar. It would look like shichur. It wouldn't look like a mechiro. They could sell them to someone else, and that other person could accept the money from the eved, theoretically. If you want, it's interesting that we're talking about freeing them. I mean, we're talking about an Isra Sev, Leilam Mem Taved. So we're not really dealing with the permissibility of it. We're just talking about theoretically, are you allowed to accept their money to free them? No, the gizber is not allowed to because it has to be derech mechira, not derech shichur. Is it allowed or not to free them? That's a different question that we're not dealing with. So the Gemara now analyzes. No, the Gemara says another opinion. Sorry, Rabbi Omer. Even if the gizber accepts the money from the eved himself to free him, that's fine. That looks like a mechira. It doesn't look like a shichur. So it's dummy. He's taking the value of the eved. He's taking the value of the eved. It's fine. He said Dmei Avdi Olai. It's as if he said Dmei Avdi Olai. The value of my slave is on him. So we have a contradiction because Rav said that Hamakdish Avda Yotzal Chedus, he goes free if you're Makdish your eved. And from this brisa, both Rebbe and the Tanakama hold that if you're Makdish Nechosov V'hoyu Ben Avodim, he has to redeem them. They have to be redeemed. The eved has to be redeemed in order to go to free. He doesn't automatically go free. So the Gemara answers, Masnisin Karami Salei de Rav. You're asking a Mishnah on Rav. Rav Tanu Polig. Rav could argue with the Mishnah. Rav is on the level of a Tana. He's able to argue with the Mishnah. So it's a machlekes. According to the Brisa, both the Tanakama and Rebbe hold that a Makdish Avda, it's as if he said Lidomi, the value. Similar to Rav Yosef Amarav. And according to Rav, it's no contradiction. Rav could argue with the Mishnah. Very interesting. So the Gemara goes on and it brings another Mishnah. Toshma, come in here, another Bryce. Ach kol cherem. When we're talking about the chermei charomim, Pasuk says, Ach kol cherem asher yochram ish Hashem mikol asher lo yimodem vehimo misteach chuzosei. Lo yimocher v'lo yigol kol cherem kodesh kadashim ul Hashem. You're not allowed to sell and so on. It's kodesh kadashim Hashem. When you see something, it's cherem. It's kodesh lebedek habayis. It's holy for the bedek habayis. When it says Meyodom, Elu Avodov V'Shivchoisov Haknanim. We're talking about a person's servants and maidservants are Knanim. So why would you think this is more difficult for Rav than the other Mishnah, than the other Bryce? Here we see clearly you're allowed to be makdish the value of your avodim. So why is this more of a question? Before we said Rav could argue on the Mishnah, so why are we bringing from another Bryce?
Because now he's arguing on Chumash.
Oh, very good. Rashi says, I lost my spot. Where am I? Oh, here I am. Rashi says, because he has a pasuk, it's a question on Rav. So obviously, either we could explain the pasuk differently, but it's a question because we're bringing a pasuk. So the Gemara answers, if he said the value, he clearly said the value, then it's fine. He didn't say it in a lashon stam. He specified it was ledami. So the Gemara asks, why did we say that the story of the Gizbarim was where he said ledami the value? You can't say that in the first in order for Rav not to argue with them. Why don't we answer that he said ledami in the brisa, the first brisa that we brought? If he said ledami, what? Why would we say the Gizbar didn't have anything to do with the Evet? When you say ledami, it's not like the Evet passes into their ownership. When you say ledami, it means you owe the value of the Evet. Not that they have any control over the Evet, but the fact that we're talking about the Gizbar and selling the Evet sounds like they pass into his control. So it goes far beyond that. So it's different than what we explained before that you're saying ledami. According to this opinion, the actual Evet goes into the ownership of the Gizbar in order for them to sell it. So that would be the machlekes. Not that it's as if you said ledami, but that the Evet is kaddish that you could sell it. So furthermore, also with the achedim, what do they have to do? How are achedim? We said ledami. How do achedim help? So Rashi points out, sorry, I'll just read the last question, then I'll bring Rashi's question. So furthermore, Rebbe says that the Gizbar is allowed to receive the money from the Evet to free him because it's like a sale. Why like a sale? He said ledam. So Rashi asks the question, why don't we say he said Harehu Kaddish Ledamav, he's holy for the value of his money. Then he would be holy, and then all of this would apply. The answer is, if he would say Harehu Kaddish Ledami, because he has, it's shaykh in the Evet to be an Am Kaddish, Kedusha of the Am Kaddish. The moment he says Harehu Kaddish Ledamav, he will become free. And Rashi says, it says, if you're matbis tmim in the Bedek Habayis, ein yotzim midei mizbeach. If you have a behemoth which is a tamim, which is unblemished, and you say it's holy, but just for the Bedek Habayis, no, it's considered Kaddish Lemizbeach. So it must be that according to the Brisa, when you say Harehu Kaddish, you're talking about it's hektishly mocher bedamav, and it's not the lashon of Am Kaddish, but according to Rav, the moment you say Harehu Kaddish, it's a lashon of Am Kaddish. That is the machlekes. So I have to say that is the machlekes. According to Rav, wouldn't be okay if you say Harehu Kaddish in order for him to be under hektish. The moment you say Harehu Kaddish, will be considered a yid. According to the Brisa, if you say Harehu Kaddish, it's not Am Kaddish. So maybe Rashi is saying that it is as if he said Harehu Kaddish, but it's not considered Am Kaddish. Mashenkin, if you say Ledami, so the Evet itself is not holy, you just owe the value of the Evet. Rav would also agree that you're going to owe such a value. We're all the way on the bottom of Lamed Ches Amud Beis, the second to last line of 38b. Toshma, come in here. Hamakdish avdoi oisa v'oichel shalahikdish eladamav. Somebody who's makdish his servant, he works normally, and he eats normally. He's only kodesh ledomov. Yeah, you owe the value of the Eved to the Beis Hamikdash. Shalehikdish eladomov. So who is this Mishnah like? You were makdish avda oisveicha shalehikdish eladomov. Doesn't sound like the first brisa, because the first brisa said that the hektish owns him. He has to be sold from hektish. So according to the first brisa, his ma'aser yodav would be kodesh. It has to be. It's not according. It's not Rebbe, because according to Rebbe, a makdish av the yotz of the chedus. It's not Rav. I mean, it's not Rav. So which opinion is it? Says the Gemara, we're on Lamed Tesam Aleph now. Oh, mani Rabbi Meir. It's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. The Omar ain't odom mitzi dvar levato. When a person says hektish, he's not going to say it for no reason. Where is the source of Rabbi? In Maseches Erchin says Rashi. It says in the Brisa, Mayrich Pachas Mivin Chodesh. The minimum age when you do Erki Alai, the value of somebody based on age in Torah is a month. What if you're Mayrich Pachas Mivin Chodesh? Rabbi Meir holds nice and domov. You still give the value. Person knows that a less than a month doesn't have an Erech in Torah, so he probably meant value. Instead of Erech, which is based on age, he meant domim. Here also he knows an Eved is not fit for the Bedek Abayis for the binyan, it's not fit la krova for the karvan, but he said hekdish, so probably he meant domov alai. It's as if he said domi alai. It's as if he said domi alai. So it's different than the first brisa. It's different than the second brisa where we brought the pasuk, because there he clearly said domi alai. This is where he said hekdish. According to Rabbi Meir, also it doesn't mean am kaddish, but he holds it means domi, the value of the money. This makes sense. That if he's makdish himself, he was makdish the value. If you can say it's the opinion of Rabbi Meir, makes sense. It's not that if you're makdish, it's makdish limocher, because a person doesn't say anything levatola. Person doesn't say anything for no reason. If you're going to say it's the chachamim in the brisa that we brought before, made sense if you talk about your eved. So it's for the value. But if you say yourself, how can you say your kodesh to be sold deserve value for a ben chayrin? Must be because a person doesn't say anything levatola. So if he says that he's hektish, it must be he's talking about the value. Otherwise, we wouldn't say such a thing. It could only be Rabbi Meir. Okay, we'll go a little further, even though I kind of have to stop. But let us say that this is a machlekes tanoim. And if you're makdish your eved, is he kodesh or not kodesh? Is he kodesh for hektish or not? We have like three opinions really. Rav holds he goes free. According to the chachamim, he's under the reshus of the hektish. According to Rabbi Meir, he's not kodesh, but it's the value that you have to pay. So it says, "Hamakdish av dein moilim," but there's no din of meila. There's meila by his hair. My love, probably this is the machlekes. Mar sover kodesh. According to Shimon Gamliel, he's kodesh. Mar sover lav kodesh. And according to the Tanakama, he's not kodesh. Ein moilim, but there's no meila. It is Brian moilim, ein moilim boy. Why would they be arguing about the din of meila? High kodesh, any kodesh, they should talk about if he's kodesh or not. Elo the chuli am kodesh. Everybody holds he's kodesh. So why did the chacham and Tanakama say ein moilim boy? One opinion is that an eved is like considered avodim or hukshu lekakos. They're connected to karka. There's a hekesh. We have a juxtaposition in the pasuk. I forgot what the hegesh is. Umar Sover can metatli dummy. The other opinion is that it's like metatlin. So according to the Tanakama, because he's like karka, there's no mila. According to the Reb Shimon Gamliel, he's considered there is mila. So why does he only argue about the hair? Why doesn't he talk about the body being kaddish, being mila, having mila? Everybody holds he's like karka. They have it. The machlekes is specifically about the hair because the hair is about to be cut. According to the Tanakam, it's not considered like cut. It's still considered connected to the karka, to the property. So there's no mila even on the hair. According to Shimon Gamliel, it's like gozos. Maybe there's a similar machlekes. It's not a remir. There's things that are like land but not like land, and the Chum don't agree. So what are we talking about? Ketzat. Somebody says, somebody says, I gave you 10 grapevines loaded with grapes. The person you're claiming against says there was only 5. Rabbi Meir says you're chayiv shvua mixus because he admitted to 5 out of 10. Chum say you don't have to do shvua mixus because it's connected to the ground. And karka, there's no din of shvua. There's no oath of mixus. The machlekes is specifically if they're about to be harvested, the grapes. The Rabbi Meir Sover Kipsudas Dam. Rabbi Meir holds if it's about to be harvested, it's as if it's harvested, so it's considered metaltalin, movable object. So made the mixus applies. He admitted to 5 out of 10, so he has to make a shavua of Torah, an oath of Torah. Rabban and Savri Lav Kipsudas Dam. The Chum hold it's not considered like it's taken apart. So here we have the same machlekes about hair. That Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Meir holds. Hair is considered, if it's ready to be cut, it's like it's separate. There's me'ilah. The Chum will not. Says the Gemara, filu tamer Rab Meir. You can make Rab Meir fit with the Chum by hair. I'd kind of like Rab Meir also by grapes. He says it's as if it's harvested. Because by now, when it's ready to be harvested, the more you leave it, it'll get worse and worse. So of course it's considered like it's harvested. But by hair, no matter how long it stands, it's going to get better and better. The longer the hair grows, I guess. The value of the person will be better and better. Okay, I think we have to stop here. We're in the middle of Lamed Testament Al 39a.
What would they use the hair for? For wigs? For sheitos?
Why is it better and better?
Yeah, no, I understand it's probably a better sheitel, but is that what they were using the hair for sheitos?
Maybe, yeah. I would say probably. The wife of Rabbi Kiva sold her hair, Rachel, to pay for his tuition for him to learn Torah.